I got a comment on one of my videos where I see that the individual is at a tipping point with understanding that I want to address. They made a comment and I realized there's something more that I could say to that person, so I'm going to do that in this video. My name is Dan Paulson. Welcome to the video. The one that he is responding on was the idea that Jesus didn't teach about a third eye. What he did, when he's talking about the eye, he's talking about a bundle of memories, a forgiveness that needs to happen, not a pineal gland or something like that. And people kind of blend that all together, and that's not exactly what's going on. And if you're thinking Jesus is teaching pineal gland and you're trying to work with that, you're not getting his teaching, which is very much an interactive mental teaching that is different than what people are saying if they're doing the pineal gland. So what I want to do is talk about something at a deeper level as far as understanding about healing. This goes beyond Jesus. This goes beyond Kundalini yoga. It goes beyond what everybody today is thinking about or understanding in the spiritual world. It really goes to science. Let's talk about that. First, I'll read his comment. This is what got me going on this. Okay, I listened maybe 4 or 5 times today. There is much in here for myself, and so my thinking buggered off on many mental tangents. All right, I can see right now this person's hooking into something I'm saying. So he needs more. Missing the next parts. Okay, no biggie. After a quick sort of thoughts, I'd replay this again. I learned a lot. My perspective is much improved for this video. I was ready. Thank you. Okay, let's talk about that more because this person's ready for a data dump. Okay. Yep, absolutely. There's more to it. And I've done this in videos before, but it gets very big and it gets really deep into the healing process. It also gets into a realm that a lot of people that are on the spiritual path, when you start bringing in all of this stuff, and then you talk about it in terms of science, and I'm looking at the material not as somebody who believes there's something greater. I'm looking at the material as somebody that thinks that at the template level, what I'm seeing is that we emerged on planet Earth and that this life is what we have, and that the nature of our life experiences and how we hold them in our mind creates a flow in life in a collective, a human collective psyche, that we flow together that way, and that by changing the flow of our mind up here, it changes our flow in those waves, but they're emotional waves. So that's a very bizarre thing. I see a lot of people doing spiritual things that are not floating the waves. If you manage your mind, things work in a certain way, and at the core, that's what there is. Kundalini and all the other stuff, those are things that can be done, but they really don't get to the core. What is the core? All right. If I'm going science, I have to say this. I believe humans evolved on planet Earth. I do not believe we were created or that there is some higher being that is somehow over the top of us. I do know that we emerge from a higher something. We're going to connect with that. There is something out there, but I'm not going to classify it as anything because I don't know what it is. I just know that it's there. What I want to do is understand my life now. And I see that it's a very physical life based on physical experiences. And right there is where you drop people. What is so popular to say in spiritual circles, something that is, we are spiritual beings having physical experiences. And I believe that is, it sounds fun, but ultimately when you look at it, I look at myself as a physical being having an emotional experience. And that I want to address that. Life is happy or life is sad. What are we looking for? Happiness. Okay, let's do this. What I want to do is just use our imaginations and look at planet Earth from way out in space, so far out that you can even see the International Space Station below you. It's just a place in our imagination. We're not really there. We're not astral traveling or anything like that. We've seen enough pictures to be able to create this image in our mind. And from out here, you look at planet Earth, it's a dot off in the distance. There's things happening down there. You kind of disconnect from things. As you get closer and look, you see conflict, you see different things happening. You see stuff that is going on the Earth that is, well, it depends on the nature of your awareness. There's a lot of things going on that are good. There's a lot of things going on that are bad, but there's an emergent something going along down there. But from out here, if you can get to this point out here, you should be able to perceive that within yourself, as you're imagining this from out here, that you feel disconnected from your feelings from down there on Earth. So we want to look at things from here. And what I want to do from here is go back so far in time that we see dinosaurs for so long that they are evolving from one type to another over longer periods of time than humans have even have had civilization. We're as long as we think we've been around, we just showed up in the scheme of things. It's a huge, huge area. And as short as our lives are and as big as we think we are, we just showed up. From out here, you can look at that and go, wow, those guys, yeah, they're way downstream. They're evolving very quickly from a base. But for all the years, for millions of years, as we were evolving as hominids, what were we doing? What made us feel good and what made us feel bad? That's what we're looking for right there. That's where our drives come from, that are a part of our DNA. We are creatures that move through life based on fear and joy. We take responsibility and things like that. We need to be fear and joy based, though. If we're doing things we don't like, we're not happy about it. So there's a lot of things going on that create conflict in the mind. But back here, back then you look at that early hominid life and what are they doing? They're hunters and foragers for a long time. They're getting eaten by creatures. They're trying to survive. You've got a super fear mechanism and a super joy mechanism. And you've got a memory that better work. You better remember all the bad stuff. You better not forget it, because you're wandering off in the wilderness. That's a bad place. We lost many over there. Don't go over there. Not only do you remember things, but you remember them viscerally with emotion. You better. It's a part of survival. Unfortunately, that's what's in place now. That's the very human evolved mechanism that gives us the sensations of fear. And as we're having life experiences and we've got shame and pain and things like that that really should be looked at as something that's more benign, but we feel so strongly about them that it's like a life or death feeling. So the feelings that we have for what we need to resolve are way over the top. We have to understand that they evolved for a very important reason, but we're not applying them in the right way. You know, me saying, yeah, I got molested or something like that, at some point can be so shameful, and I'm the one that makes it that way, that I won't talk about it, and it hurts me and it destroys my life. It makes me angry, just all kinds of stuff, whatever it is. And if I get it out, I talk about it, I begin to heal from it, and I can talk about it, what happens is that it loses its power completely. It is no longer there. And what did I experience? People going, well, you know, anybody that doesn't like you saying that are people that have got the problem themselves. They don't like the fact that you're demonstrating what needs to happen. So you look at the people that think you're a freak for doing that and go, yep, I know what their childhood, unresolved childhood or past is, what they're carrying. Most people are going to say something like, man, I'm bummer, sorry that happened to you. They're not affected by it. They're not going to be we're the ones that give it its power and its fear. We're holding on to something with that mechanism of you better not forget it and you better stay afraid of it, is what is in place when it's like, okay, we don't need that. This is no longer something we need to, now you better learn something different. Now you got to learn to let it go because it's not really there. It isn't. You are continuing living life as if it is when it's not. Here, do this exercise. Think of what it is that you fear in your own mind. And now imagine that somebody that isn't you comes to you and tells you that. How would you handle it? Most people, if you pick the right person, they're going to handle it the same way. We get wrapped up and stuck in our own fear, in our own heads. So it's very important to understand that the fear that we're feeling is so far over the top that we need to be able to look and realize that we have become, in modern times, we have become products of our life experiences that are incredibly complicated compared to back then. They had things to worry about that gave them fear. We have many things to worry about that give us the same kind of fear that have to do with things like, am I going to eat tonight? What's for dinner? I'm almost out of gas. My job's kind of in a shaky way. My relationship's not, I don't know we start putting that same mechanism of fear to all of those facets of life that we never evolved to have all of that. We didn't. When Jesus teaches things like, what does he do? There's a fig tree that doesn't produce fruit out of season. These are metaphorical stories that need to be understood. So he commands it to die. What kind of Kundalini yoga is that? It's not. These are metaphorical stories. The tree is what emerges from my garden, and it's not producing anything. This is a part of my life that I'm experiencing life, wasting my time. What are you doing that's important? What are you doing that you have obligations to that you're like, I wish I wasn't doing this? Those are bad things we need to get away from. Jesus' teachings are fundamentally mental, life, personal experiences. And it really amounts to this. When you take out any of the religion at the core, this is what they're based upon. Whatever they call them or whatever it emerges as, whether it's Buddhism, Taoism, Christianity. Christianity's a different vehicle. It has a problem with it. It'll carry all over the place, but it's not open. It's not, it's kind of a bad mechanism. People worship the carrying case instead of understanding what's inside of it. But the truth of the matter is we're living through the bundle of memories that we can't let go of, or that we don't want to, or whatever. There's a mass of something in there that is really bad that we don't like, and that's it right there. That's the mote in the eye. If it's treated as such, and if it's gone after, you know what? I got molested. I have to figure out how to resolve this issue. I see that I was next in line. Some little kid that thinks he's so big that everything revolves around him. At some point you go, you know what? I need to rise above that. That's where I was born. I was in a long string of things. I need to be bigger than myself. There's ways we start engaging our mind in a way that we begin to release ourselves from those things from the past. We begin to go, you know what? I'm bigger than that. But you have to forgive the people that hurt you. You have to keep visiting the memories. If it hurts, if it's emotional, that stuff that's stored in there. There's times you think you've got something resolved and something is still happening. You have to go back and find a memory of your earlier self, and you go visit yourself. I start telling this story. This happened to me, and you get emotional about it. Yeah, that's how the memories are stored. That's how we visit them and understand them, and we need to visit them until we can. Those emotions are malleable, but only through thought process. And only when they're changed up here does it change the flow in life. Not just the perception of life, but the way that we emanate whatever emotional energy there is from our own. We're in this collective field, and we're living through feelings through a central nervous system that we're picking up and radiating and processing from within our own brains, that come from our own memories, our own experiences, our own perceptions at the time. When we're happy, we feel good. Laughing, when we're remembering things like that, we feel bad. We can look at that and go, yeah, it's that bundle of memories right there that's the problem. And if I resolve that bundle of memories, it's okay. You really have to detach from it. And I struggle with people that keep getting into bringing the religious variations into it. It's like, you know what? There's something more fundamental than that isn't the religion. The religion is a way of life, but what I'm teaching is not the religion or the way of life. I'm not teaching Kundalini yoga. I am teaching that Jesus didn't teach Kundalini yoga. I don't care what people say. Yes, turn inward. Where? To the mind, to your memories. Anything else are lifestyles, ways of keeping people happy and making them feel good while they never address that or never have to and never understand. All right? When it comes right down to it, I'm going to interact with something up here in my mind that is effective for me. And you know what? What I just described to you is what it was effective. This person did this to me. I feel this way about it. I have to go address that and visit that until I go, you know what? If I didn't get pulled off the streets and molested, I'd be dead. Number one. Number two, I'm okay. Number three, it happens to so many people. Number four, you just keep going on and go, at some point you have to disconnect from that and say, yeah, so what? I don't mean so what. That's a personal thing. You get to the point where you yourself say, whew, you know what? That is not something I'm going to live through anymore. I'm going to let that go. But you have to spend time visiting it mentally to do that. Spending time focusing on a pineal gland to decalcify it does nothing to heal that memory. Nothing. It'll stay right there. If you let time go by, it might gradually fade away. But if you don't want to live gradually through life while it fades away and you want it gone, just heal it. Forgive the odd against your brother, and your Father who sees in secret rewards you in secret. Rectify this up in here and your life automatically improves. Whew, that's it. Let's get away from Jesus. I don't know if you understand the Buddha verses very, very well. I'm going to read some just right up in the front here. This is exactly what I'm saying. This is from the Dhammapada. This is not Buddhism. This is the core teaching. If you were to read Christianity and say, what does Jesus really have to say? Just go to the Sermon on the Mount. That's it. You want to know what Buddha has to say? Go to the Dhammapada. All that we are is the result of what we have thought. It is founded on our thoughts. It's made up of our thoughts. Okay, we're mental products. If a man speaks or acts with an evil thought, pain follows him as the wheel follows the foot of the ox that draws the carriage. These play out in the mind. These are analogous components of us. A person speaks or acts with an evil thought does not mean consciously active evil. It means that you're holding something in your memories that is evil. Something that has happened. There's something in here that is not good. Pain follows, like a wheel. There's a cycle of pain follows the foot of the ox that draws the carriage. The ox that draws the carriage represents me. I'm the ox that draws the carriage, or you are, and that pain follows as long as we've got something derogatory up there. And it's a mental process. Verse 2, all that we are is a result of what we have thought. It's founded on our thoughts. It's made up of our thoughts. So far the same. If a man speaks or acts with pure thought, whoosh, gone out of there, happiness follows like a shadow that never leaves. What does that sound like? Verse 3, he abused me, he beat me, he defeated me, he robbed me, and those who harbor such thoughts, hatred will never cease. He abused me, he beat me, he defeated me, he robbed me, and those who do not harbor such thoughts, hatred will cease. This is forgiveness. You got to let those things go. For hatred does not cease by hatred at any time. Hatred ceases by love. This is an old rule. We need to go change our memories. What does he say, number 6? The world does not know that we must all come to an end here, but those who know it, their quarrels cease at once. Okay, then it goes off into looking for pleasures only, senses, balance, things like that. It goes into a lifestyle as to far as balancing that. But as you start interpreting the material, what you realize is that the judgments that we have made is what we're living through. Period. And that in order to live differently, we have to change the way we have judged our life experiences. Again, I got nothing new here, just different lingo. The 4 agreements, Don Miguel Ruiz. The agreements are what we're living through. We need to change our agreements. Same thing. Eckhart Tolle. The pain body. That's the pain body. The shadow. Jung. I'm just putting it in different verbiage. Something accessible to a different comprehension. Seriously, you go all the way back to Babylonia and the Enuma Elish, the creation and the recreation story. And what you're going to find, they're calling it a tablet of fate. The agreements, the bundle of memories. The tablet of fate goes to the first self, and then it gets taken away and it goes to the second self. Yeah, it's all over. That's it right there. Okay, I wanted to say that here, that's really what you're after. You got to step outside. We come from a higher self. We are emerging as physical beings, but we're living emotionally as that physical self. We need to get out here and go, you know what? I need to somehow take that personal physical self right there and resolve it because I'm dragging it with me and I don't want it. And the more you get rid of there, the more you automatically live from up here. You don't have to keep going and getting it. You just, right here. There's times though where you need to keep, I'm getting triggered. Make sure you get to the higher self, the higher awareness. Keep going to that higher place. Look at planet Earth from way outside. It's hard to do that when we're dealing with day-to-day physical existence. You know what? I edited this in, and it should not be an afterthought at all. When we know we have cycles, at some point you can look and you see, this keeps happening. This keeps happening. This keeps happening. At some point, you have to go, all right, I'm in a cycle here. Okay. You know that it's going to happen again. You have to interrupt it. And you do that by knowing that it's going to happen. You understand what triggers it, but you get caught up into it emotionally. You just go right back into it. You get hooked into it. So instead of just being aware of it, create options. Knowing when it comes up, I'm going to take off and go do this instead. I'm going to go to the higher self, and I'm not going to get into this. I'll try to get away and then come back, then try to get away and come. This back and forth with this conflict of I need to leave, but I got something to say. That pattern has to be recognized and broken. And sometimes it's a matter of, what do you have as a lifestyle? I don't know. Maybe you go on a hike or, I don't know. City dwelling, you can't do that. I don't know what different options are, but you find yourself a way that you say, when this happens, I'm not only going to, I have to extract myself from it. I have to have a different option. I'm going to plan something instead that I focus on instead of going, I don't know what I'm going to do. I'm just going to leave. You know what you're going to do. You got to focus and you go do it. Yeah, that's an important thing. Have a game plan. All right, see ya.